Are not on the bottom of the ocean by design. They're on the bottom of the ocean because something really bad happened, and there were people on those ships. They're not unmanned vehicles. So the story of those people, whether it's a story of a wartime encounter with a U-boat, or an encounter between a luxury liner and an iceberg, they're fascinating stories. So I've always loved wrecks. That's the ultimate wreck. So what I did was I went to 20th Century Fox. I had a good relationship with them. I made a couple of films for them, and I said, let's do a real expedition of Titanic to shoot scenes for the movie. And they thought I was crazy, but then I told them my rationale, and the rationale was that we're going to have to do these scenes as miniatures. The miniatures are going to be probably more expensive than going and shooting it ourselves. We can use the Russians. We'll use the Russian subs. The marketing value of us having gone and photographed the real ship at the bottom of the ocean will be tremendous. It'll be worth millions in publicity to the movie. So these are some very ambitious shots. I mean, we went out there with a mission. The mission was to make a movie 2.5 miles down in the Atlantic. So first step was we needed a movie camera. So I talked to my brother Mike about the technical problems of shooting at that depth. No one had ever shot with a movie camera at that depth, other than sort of just poking it up to the viewport of a submersible. But we wanted to have a camera that was outside the sub that we could pan and tilt and do beautiful cinematic kind of moves with. And so that involved building a pan and tilt mechanism, a remote device that was outside the sub. We had to design a camera housing. We had to design a 35mm camera that could fit in that housing. And we went down there on this expedition. We dove Titanic, I think, 10 or 11 times out of 12 deep dives on this expedition. And we had about 12 minutes of footage on each dive. So we were down there for 10 to 14 hours. So this is Al Giddings on the right. He was my underwater DP on the Abyss, and he had introduced me to Robert Ballard and kind of put me down the path of meeting all the Titanic people involved, including the Russians. This is Snoop Dog, which was a remotely operated vehicle that we built ourselves. Actually, Scott Millard at Western Space and Marine built it for us. And this is a robot that really worked. It really worked at 12,000 feet down with this tremendous water pressure, 5,000 pounds per square inch. This thing worked. And we weren't supposed to, I had set myself a limitation that I wasn't going to actually take the Snoop Dog inside the wreck of the ship. Here we are at the D-deck gangway door on the port side. And I promised myself I wasn't going to really go inside. But of course, I couldn't contain my enthusiasm once we saw how well this vehicle was working. And now, compared to the vehicles we're using now, it's a clunky, heavy, big dumb dope on a rope. But this is 10 years ago, and it was pretty state of the art for its time. And here we are, crossing the forward well deck. And Titanic, it's tough to see this whole ship. It's just so darn big, and even the 1200 watt HMI lights don't really light it up. Just small sections of it. That's the B deck railing on the starboard side forward, and it's right where we had Rose standing on one of the shots that were taken out of the film. This is one of the first times that an ROV was really used to poke around inside the shipwreck, and we were just enthralled by what we were seeing. So here Snoop Dogg is being piloted aft along the B deck promenade on the B deck level, and it gets to a door that it can't pass, and it's sort of looking in a window. It's just mysterious what's inside that window. There's no way to know. And of course, in the 2001 expedition, we actually got behind that window and had a look, and we know what's in there now. So this is Jeff Letta. He was the ROV pilot. And here's another, this is, I think, our last dive, and we're sending the ROV down into the Grand Staircase. And the Grand Staircase is just this big open pit that goes down through the ship, 5 decks down inside the ship. And here he is going down. This is just a bulkhead that's just covered with rusticles. And here's a beautiful view down the Grand Staircase, level after level, A deck, B deck, C deck, D deck, all the way down to where the dining room was at the bottom. Now, so far we haven't done anything radical. Robert Ballard, back in 1986, when he went down there for the first human dives, this is what the Grand Staircase looked like back then. when he went down there in 1986, he took his ROV, which is called Jason Jr. He went down into the grand staircase, but they literally went straight down the center. And I don't think they looked down and saw this whole footing arrangement. This is when we knew that there really was still a lot of structure down inside Titanic. And, we're going down, this is looking into the A deck level. You can see a little glimpse of a chandelier there.